Hey guys, welcome back. BDC Gara here. We're back with another episode of our Q&As. This is episode 18. Apologies if I sound a little sick. It's because I am a little sick.
You are.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting right into the questions. The first one comes from Kush Kamble, and they say, what to do when facing this team? Let me know in next Q&A. And this is in reference to
our Speed Demon team with Luchador Bane, where we're doing a huge amount of splash damage by dropping in and stunning, and the question really is, well, how do you handle that when you're facing it?
Yeah, probably means specifically Luchador Bane.
So when we, actually, I think later on in one of these fights will be Luchador Bane, and we can explain what we're doing there and also explain other strategies. We'll just interrupt whatever else we're talking about.
Yeah.
So this is clearly not the dangerous Bane. This is the crappy Bane that we're facing. So moving right along to the next question.
Yep, that comes from Colin Mortenson, and they say, so, for a tank, how should they be used? Should they be more of a damage sponge that absorbs those killer attacks like Flashpoint Batman or Jessica Cruz have, or more of a last resort for when your special specialist and basic damage dealer get knocked out?
So yes and yes. I mean, it's the point really is, the tank almost, it can be a damage sponge. That's the easiest way to do it. But because if you build them to take a lot of damage, then there's a possibility that when you make a mistake with the guys that are meant for your damage dealers, there's a chance your tank will be the last man standing. Well, last man or woman standing. So if your team's good enough, damage sponge, that's enough, right? But the best tank still has at least some offensive potential, so that if you end up in a war of attrition against another fourth world gear set, you can at least do enough damage that you don't lose or you don't waste 10 minutes in a standoff.
Yeah. So you want him to be a little bit rounded.
That's part of the reason why Flashpoint Batman is actually, it's strangely like a really good tank, because he's got so much built-in damage with his destructive potential.
That you don't need to gear him that way for him to still be good at damage.
Right. Yeah. And so fourth year gear set, because he can heal on special one, even though his health isn't the highest, because he's got the heal on special one with the fourth world gear set, and he's got one revive, he'll still take a huge amount of damage before he actually runs into trouble.
Yeah. So our next question comes from Shazam, and then 4 exclamation marks. And they say, I love that you keep doing videos on this game. Before I got banned, and then this is in quotes, for nothing I did, I used Wonder Woman for my special 1 damage dealer. Her juggle is awesome. Love the video, guys. And then, right after, they comment, another thing, guys. Will you use your normal account on these reviews? I love your content and would really like to see how you take on the hackers. With your knowledge and skill of the game, I think you would decimate them. And it would be an excellent example that hacking doesn't matter. It's skill and knowledge. The game. Love you guys.
Okay, so, alright, not related to the question entirely, but now that you've taken a few years of Latin, how does it bother you that the word decimate has gotten into the common usage where it means to actually destroy instead of reducing by 1/10?
It doesn't bother me that much because it's kind of fun to say that, and then you go decimate, like deci, like December, like December, the 10th month of the year.
All right, that's true.
If it weren't for Julius and Augustus.
Okay. And thank you very much for the nice words, Shazam. You were actually a pretty good guy yourself when you were still playing, and you were helping out so many people with their corrupted accounts. So that was really cool. To answer your question, actually, so we've intentionally been using secondary accounts because of the risk of being banned. So account suspensions happen all the time. There are people who've done nothing, and we believe them for a lot of different reasons, but they're still suspended because they were likely reported. People who do some stuff, like us, that aren't actually problematic for most people, but get suspended, which we think is also because somebody reports them and they were manually suspended.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually probably useful to go back to original video where we have Will Blank Get Me Banned video, where we talk a little bit about the difference between an auto suspension based on some number that you've got that exceeds what is an acceptable value, or whether somebody has brought attention to your account specifically to trigger a suspension. So we're actually not using our main account because the more attention we bring to it, the more chance there is of a disgruntled opponent making a report and getting our main account banned.
Yeah.
because we when we say that the resets that we do, the glitches we do are pretty safe, we do that based on experience, and so we have to be really careful at making sure that the accounts that we do a lot of that practice on aren't in some way contaminated, I guess, by the attention that might come from being in multiplayer, whether it's through people playing against us or watching our videos and seeing it.
Yeah, so even though we can do glitches, if we only do glitches on those and never get banned, that's how we can say with a high degree of certainty that you won't get banned for doing the glitches, and that it'll come from something else.
Right. And I guess, again, thank you too for the... You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
And again, going back to the part about the being able to beat the hackers, I mean, definitely you can break down success at a game like Injustice into two sort of big, broad categories. One is the strategy and planning, and two is the skill. And I think we're really good at the strategy and the planning, and not so good at the skill, right? And if we're talking about the skill, one is it's partly the mini game to max out the specials. But the bigger part that I think I have the most trouble with is executing plan. Like, I have an idea of what I want to do when I get into the fight, and sometimes my instinct just takes over, and I start not literally button mashing, but screen mashing, I guess.
Yeah.
And doing stuff that
tap mashing. Yeah. Finger mashing.
So getting my greasy digits all over the screen, doing stuff that I didn't intend to do and I shouldn't have done if I'd actually had the chance to remind myself what my strategy is. It's like when they say about boxers, you get into fight, and then as soon as you get hit in the face once, all your strategy is gone, and you resort to so your instincts, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate your vote of confidence, but I think actually we're probably not the best at that because we rely a lot on our resources and planning our resources properly.
So there you go. Our next and final question comes from Lloyd Banks, and they say, "Hi BDCKR, back again with a fantastic Justice League MP team. I have a question that'll help me a lot. I'm going to build a new team around Flashpoint Batman. I've watched all of your videos showcasing him, and I'm wondering, the best value of him you think is to be a basic damage dealer like here, or one of the other two of your options? Which gear style you think is the best? Haven't picked the other two teammates, so depending on your answer, I will make myself a team with him too. Thanks, we're waiting for more of your MP videos." So we got into this a little bit accidentally earlier. I guess not totally accidentally. But it depends a little bit on the rest of your team. I guess the short answer is that he's kind of good for everything a little bit, right? Mm-hmm.
And because you're going to build a team around him, it's sort of a different question, but I think in general I want to approach it from sort of as broad as possible, right? So there's at least a few different considerations, right? So the first thing is, what is that character really good at? So instead of, like, some people's strategy is to shore up their weaknesses. Yeah. My strategy is always, they got an advantage, let's really make that like an overwhelming kind of advantage, right?
Yeah.
And so that ties into the second part, which is what gears do you have that can make the most of that role? So because of his destructive damage, Flashpoint Batman, he's amazing at basic damage, right? So he just needs some basic damage gears. Maybe heal a little bit on special one like we did in the video to make sure he lasts. But Flashpoint Batman is kind of straightforward. There's some characters, not Flashpoint Batman, of course. So, for example, Jessica Cruz, she's got great power creep stats, so she can be a great damage dealer, but because of her 5 or 6 hit combo finisher, she also makes an excellent tank if you have the Gauntlets of Azrael.
Yeah, ton of healing, ton of group healing.
Right. So as a tank, addressing the point earlier, it means that everybody's a great damage sponge because you're recovering a huge amount of damage every combo end.
Yeah, and we don't actually have any specific role. Oh, there it is.
All right, so hold on. All right, so this is Luchador Bane. I think he's going to have... Right, so that's the loadout with splash damage and power gen with the dagger, plus Cloak of Destiny to take advantage of a stun, plus Gauntlets to increase the chance of crit or damage on special one and increase the damage. What am I saying? I'm hitting a brain fart here. So increased chance of stun so that you could do more of the Cloak of Destiny damage, and I believe there's a boost to special one, whether it's crit or boost, I can't remember.
Yeah.
So it's all good. So because of the team that we've got, the main strategy here is either knock out the first guy really fast so that Luchador Bane doesn't have a bar of power, or make sure you're doing a multi-hit special one and be in the middle of it as Luchador Bane tags in, because then he will not stun you.
Yeah.
And that's the strategy used for Flash because that's who we've got. There's lots of other strategies. Maybe we'll do it after when we're finished with him.
Okay, so that would have been dangerous if...
Right, but now he's got a bar of power, so you can see on the side. So now he's really dangerous. So now what we need to do is be using our special 1 lots.
Which is perfect, because we can actually just soften him up the perfect amount. Oh!
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. We got lucky with static, but it's I always hate giving up. There we go, see? We used a special 1, and we were in the middle of it, finishing up, so there's no damage. But I didn't want to take a chance on giving up his bullet time because he's not going to get it again. As soon as you do a special with his bullet time, it's done, even no matter how early in bullet time that you started. Alright, so that's one strategy. Another alternative strategy that works just as well is to do your own splash damage first. So if he's not in the first slot... Oh, did I mention? Just get through the first guy so fast that he doesn't have a chance to build up a bar of power.
That's also a strategy, yeah.
The other one is that if that's going to happen, use your guy with a huge amount of splash damage so that when anybody else tags in, sure, he can knock you out, but then he's one sort of sneeze away from being knocked out himself. The other hardest option is trying to tag out as he tags in to avoid the stun. And if you don't have the team for it, you can't do this, but some are immune to stun. So a Red Sun team with Red Sun Green Lantern, or Batman Beyond. Not the good one, but the one that's got worse stats. Not animated Batman Beyond, but Batman Beyond.
Yeah. So we were talking about Jessica Cruz with Gauntlets of Azrael, and I think that's an interesting point. This isn't like an official role because it's just such a niche kind of thing, but she serves the role of kind of the support, right?
Yeah.
Like, there aren't as many like really solid gold support cards that aren't really powerful in their own right, like Red Sun Superman, or the Red Sun people.
I guess there feel like that aren't actually great offensive characters. Like animated Harley Quinn is a great support character.
Yeah, and she's not really a different role, right? She's primarily support,
right?
For the team healing, right? So there are a couple of characters who are like that, but not consistent enough that you can say that they're one of the bedrock roles.
It's hard to actually carry a support character and take up a slot if they don't have offensive potential. And she's great support, and she's got a huge amount of offensive potential.
So you can make her a tank, essentially. You can make her a full-on support character, too.
And she's actually a pretty good specialist because when you use your combo and she generates a lot of power, but making her like a great tank depends on not just her her combo ender, but the fact that you have Gauntlets of Azrael. So that's sort of the point. And sort of not related. Oh wow, what happened? So those are the sort of the obvious considerations, but almost as important is you need to ask who else is available to fill the other roles on your team.
Yeah.
And again, since you're going to build a team around Flashpoint Batman, that isn't as important for you. But one thing to consider in general is who else is available and what are they good at. And again, Flashpoint Batman is sort of a funny consideration because he's like the super utility player in baseball, and he can do everything right. If you want to make a team and you have cards that would be better as basic damage stealers instead of a tank or specialist, not better than Flashpoint Bats, but better than what they could do in other roles. Yeah. Then you could easily slot in Flashpoint Batman for either one of those other roles, and then you know what I mean, like make your team overall as good as possible.
Yeah.
And he's not the best that he can be for what he can do, but it means that the other guys on your team are actually more useful. And I guess the last part, and sort of related, but it's a little bit subtly different, is, and I just touched on that, is who can play each role best, right?
Yeah.
So the most common scenario is that you've got guys that are overpowered, the whole power creep thing, they can all effectively play each role. Then you think who can do the best job, right? And I think a perfect example of this is that the Justice League version 2.14 team that we just did, right?
Yeah.
Because both Injustice 2 Aquaman and Justice League Wonder Woman have passives that depend on them using specials. And we generally don't want to have two specialists with no tank. So we decided to make Justice League Wonder Woman the specialist because in the context of the team, it makes it the strongest, right? She generates power fastest as her specialist. And because her passive shares power with the rest of the team, then everybody else benefits a little bit extra for her having the power generation.
Yeah, the whole team is essentially being powered up a little bit, and I guess that's a little bit more of that kind of like hidden support kind of.
Yeah. I mean, listen, on another team, Injustice 2 Aquaman might be the best choice for specials, but in this case, the whole team is stronger if we let him be the tank, gear him that way, and let Justice League Wonder Woman do the specials to give everybody. So everybody, you know, because everybody's a Justice League member. Founding member? I don't know. I can't remember. But that was, it's been a long time. So yeah, that's yeah. So the short answer to what you actually asked is, yeah, we would use him as a basic damage dealer.
But you can use him as pretty much anything.
All right. So the other thing, I guess, Raven here, the strategy here is to use Containment Suit Doomsday, because if we trigger the passive, it hurts Containment Suit Doomsday less than anybody else. So we can sort of hit with impunity. But what's cool is that he's already taking big damage, so when it swaps, she's not going to have a huge amount of health, right? The worst thing to do is swap and have too much health at the end.
She barely got anything out of that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And that'll probably take her out. There we go.
There you go. All right, what I hate is if she doesn't use her special 1, she's going to do a special 2 on us. All right, so that's still good. Ooh, that was pretty high damage. That took 2 of our revives.
So we're done after this, right?
Yeah. I think this is the last fight. Ooh.
No, I meant like for Containment Suit Doomsday. He's done after this.
Oh, yeah.
is what...
Oh, yeah. Totally done. All right, bring in our tank. See, he's going to absorb the damage. Not only can he absorb the damage, but he can heal too, so that makes him a lot more useful. I would like to do a bit more damage than that, so hopefully this one crits. There we go, 51,000,
Perfect.
decent. He will take the freeze, and then we can bring in Ultra Flash safely. Ooh, she's got a bar.
Not too safely. Yeah, my apologies for all the coughing.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Content
Well,
needs to be made.
The short answer is not cough, but
I don't think that's a physiological choice you make. All right, perfect. And he's a tank coming in. Yeah, what's interesting about our team now too is that because Green Lantern's stats are actually outclassing everybody else's, it's changing our matchups a little bit.
yeah. So there we go. That was the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Komoda.